Welcome back to the Young Adults Real Talk Forum, a place where great minds meet to talk about real issues in today's Christian society. Today, we open the show up in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am super excited to have you back with us here again today. My name is Patty, one of your hosts.
And I'm Justice, your other host. Today, we have a great and thought-provoking discussion topic for you, and it's on chasing likes, how the enemy uses social media to steal from our lives. Social media, as we know, is a platform that we use to connect with people, post valuable ideas and other positive applications that we know of. But today our focus will be on how it's able to not have so much positive impact on our lives, how it's able to steal our time, and even to the extent of controlling our lives. We have a great, wonderful panelists here with us, and they have a great knowledge about this topic, so you don't want to miss it.
Yes, thank you so much, Justice. I am super excited to be talking. I mean, I got all my social media stuff intact before the show today so that I can be current. So I'm super excited today. Before we get started, we want to introduce our wonderful panelists who are going to be helping us with the discussion today. And then we are going to jump into our daily icebreaker. We want to get our brains juices moving before we start our discussion today. I'm going to start with my right-hand side, and we are going to introduce our very lovely guest all the way from Greensboro. Our brother Ford is in the house. Y'all, let's give him some love today. And then we have our lovely sister Harriet with us today. I'm so excited. And then all the way to my left, we have King T coming back, guys. He's a veteran at this point. Brother Edward is with us today. And then, of course, we have our very lovely, also coming all the way from Greensboro, we have our Dr. Obed in the house today, guys. Super excited. Thank you so much, panelists. Now, I'm going to bug you guys a little bit because I want to get you shaking and moving before we start this discussion, okay? So I have an icebreaker game for you, but today's daily icebreaker, I want to shake it up a little bit. So I have a phrase that I've been struggling with all week, right? So I want to see out of all of you who can say this phrase 3 consecutive times in a row. Whoever wins, I might just give you a prize today. I might just give you something special. We have the cast and crew all over it, Justin.
Oh my God.
We might make it hard. Okay, so Obed, I'm going to start.
You start from the right.
Obed, so the phrase I've been struggling with, and I'm going to try my hardest to say it myself. I want you to repeat this 4 times in a row quickly. Justice, you got me on time. I want him to do it within 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Okay. So, Obed, the phrase is, the sun shall soon shine. I want you to give me that phrase.
3 times. That's okay.
4 times. Give it to me 4 times. 1, 2, go.
You ready? The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall
All right, let me see. Harriet, you go. We the only girls in the house. You got to take this home.
I know.
All right, Harriet, give it to me 4 times. Go.
The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine.
All right. Let's see, Brother Ford. Let me see what you got. The sun shall soon shine. 4 times. Go.
The sun shall soon shine. The sun shall soon shine.
Oh, you tried. It looks like Harriet's got it. Okay. So you laughing at them, right? Let me hear what you got.
I didn't think it was gonna get to my.
You didn't think it was gonna be your turn?
This one did.
So you didn't even try. Let's give Harriet a clap. They gave up. Harriet did it. So let me see. I have another question for you, Ford. our great mind viewers at home always want to know a little bit about our panelists, so we want to get into it a little bit so that we can hear about you. So, Ford, tell me, which Disney character story does your life most resemble? Disney.
That is.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, what
'Cause,
do you think?
I guess
We
I could do Lion King counts, right?
Lion King.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think Simba.
Oh, I like.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the Simba.
Yeah,
in you.
yeah. You know,
I
some
like
little
that.
young lion trying to come up, trying to figure out my place and
Well, yeah,
trying to figure out my
Oh,
role and all
Simba.
that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay.
That's
Obed, my question
Oh
for
my
you.
God.
He was waiting.
Obed, I'm gonna make it
Go
very
ahead.
easy for you.
Thank
You
you.
know, your viewers want to know, what food could you not live without?
Oh,
Oh, wow.
what food cannot not live without?
Hmm.
Oil rice and
Oh, right.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay. You
It's
know what?
like
I
my
feel the same
go-to.
way. I
Do
can't
you?
live without that. It's like one of those quick meals
Yeah.
on the day when you don't feel like it.
I actually
I'm-
had some yesterday.
Nice.
Really?
You're in the
Yeah, you
spirit,
can
brother.
do
I
that.
like that. I like that answer. Okay, Edwin, for you, what are 2 truths and 1 lie about you?
Ooh.
Give us 2 truths and 1 lie. Look at you. Why are you scratching your head?
Wow. Two
One
truths.
And 1 lie.
Wow. I think sometimes people think that I'm very outgoing, but
Okay.
I don't think I am. I think I'm a shy person.
Stop.
I don't know how to joke much. People think but I don't.
Okay, so you're
one lie.
actually an
Is that a lie or
introvert.
truth?
Yes.
I know, is that a lie or
Let's
truth?
judge him.
That's for us to decide, right?
That's
Yeah.
that's both, right? I would say that's both. And one lie. I'll have to think about this. One lie. One lie. This one I
Oh, that one
can't
is
really-
difficult. Well,
that
that's
one
good
is-
that you can't think of
it may be
anything.
deep, but I don't want to.
Oh.
You don't want to take us there? Okay, so then, Edwin, tell me, what is your favorite Bible story and why?
Favorite Bible story. Wow. It has to be Jesus, because Jesus is pretty much our focus, if I should say. So, the favorite Bible story has to be when Jesus rose, and then
Why is that?
because to me that is the beginning of the church in a whole lot of sense. So that has to be my favorite.
Awesome. The beginning of our salvation, right? That's
Yes,
fantastic.
yes, yes.
I like that. I have 2 more questions, and let me see what I feel like. Harriet, let me ask you this one. Harriet, what is the best knock-knock joke you know?
Oh.
Knock-knock.
Ooh.
Who's there?
I feel like I haven't heard a knock-knock joke in a long time.
Yeah.
I really.
You can't think of one?
Nothing.
The best knock-knock joke?
Knock.
Okay, so then, Harriet, if you can't think of one, tell me the last question, then we'll get started in our discussion for today. Tell me, what dance moves are you secretly good at? Dance move. I can see you doing it right now. You can do it horizontal, like when nobody's watching.
I feel like I'm good at like African dancing, like as a whole. I mean, not everything. I'm like my footwork is not the best. But I could get by with some stuff. But yeah, I feel like African dancing, like in general.
Okay.
I don't know how to do American dance moves that good.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you so much, panelists,
All right.
for participating. I really like that. I like y'all questions. Obert has my mind on the rice
All right,
oil.
all right,
Rice now.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, you jump into a hot discussion.
Great minds.
Great minds.
Great minds.
Great minds. Great minds.
Hey everyone. My name is Patty. I am one of your hosts on the show Great Minds, brought to you by Charlotte District Youth and Pensa. I'm actually coming live to you from our set to remind you.
So I don't have to link.
YouTube and Facebook. We have hot topics ready for you next week and a great panelist to digest those topics. Come, let's reason together.
Hello, my handsomes and beautifuls. This is Justice on Great Minds, one of your hosts. I hope to see you next week. I hope you don't miss it. I will see you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam. I'm one of the panelists on Great Minds. We meet this and every Sunday to share ideas on great topics. I invite you to come and watch us on Facebook and YouTube as we digest on topics that are educative, that are entertaining, and that are mind-blowing. Come join us this and every Sunday. Thank you.
Hello, lovelies. My name is Justina. I'm on the set of Great Minds, where we reason together. I hope you enjoyed our first episode. I'm inviting you for our next coming episode, which is coming up next week, Sunday, from 1:30 to 2:30. Lovelies, watch it. See you there. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Great Minds. My name is Kwesi. Great Minds is a place where we reason together.
All right, welcome back, guys. I want to remind you, to our great minds watching at home, you are equally as important and part of this episode and part of this panelist as well, so we want to hear from you. So please remember, as we start this discussion, to chat in your questions or contributions to 704-607-4706. We're going to put that number at the bottom of the screen for you, and we hope to hear from you throughout the show.
All right, thank you, Pat. I believe we've been waiting to hear from our panelists. But before that, the following conversation that we have here today is not tied to any specific denomination, but the focus is on the entire Christian society or community. I would like to define two terms and also a quote from a social media user that I believe you'll find it very amusing. Social media, from the dictionary, is a platform that users join to share content with other members. A platform that users join to share content with other members. And likes, in the context of social media, is used to draw attention to the nature of an action or event. It's used to draw attention to the nature of an action or event. So the quotes that I promise you that I will tell you is this coming from a Facebook user. He says, likes are always an indicator of a social standing at my age. As someone who gets anxious and occasionally struggles with self-esteem, the amount of likes on my posts can be both hugely uplifting or depressing. It's very, very interesting. And I believe, I'm thinking you have somebody that, somebody is coming to mind right now. All right, I believe you are very ready to hear from our panelists. And I would like to begin with our brother Ford. Research shows that on social media, your popularity is based on how many likes you have generated on a post. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess popularity on social media.
On social media.
So I guess that based on how social media works, it works in such a way that the more, I guess the more people that see your post, then the more, the more people know you. So then if you have anything that is relevant, any content like you shared before, as far as the definition, so then if you post content that people find relevant, and people tend to like your post, and people, I guess, know about you, and people know about the things that you, I guess, what you do portray, or the message that you put out there. So then the more people see your posts, that way people know more of you on social media, and that also translates into real life. There are people that maybe we may not have seen in person, and then but then maybe you've seen their posts on social media, and so then we might go to an event, and then you might see them like, oh yeah, I remember I saw your post on social media, or somebody shared your post on social media. So I think in that regard, that statement is a true statement that the more people like your post, that can translate to the more popular you can become. So.
So, like, in addition to popularity, it makes you feel relevant. Is that what it is?
Well,
also,
I guess if for the individual, if fame translates to relevance, then that could happen. But then I don't think that necessarily should be the case. We shouldn't find relevance based on how popular we are on social media or in any regard. I guess fame doesn't necessarily translate to relevance. Unless, of course, you're in a specific field or in a business where posting relevant content and then having more people like your post is actually a key to your trade, and that's different. But as far as like our personal lives and our personal own things that we're doing, I don't think that fame should translate to relevance.
That's deep, Ford. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very deep. Anybody would like to pick on that?
Yeah, like your thoughts. I know, just as, from some of the research we were doing, it shows that, our focus today really is on that like, right? That terminology like. So some people see like the more likes you get, the better you feel about yourself, which is kind of like in line with what Justice is saying about, my popularity. It's kind of based on how people like me. Like, I want you guys to break that down for me, because when we say popularity, somebody can be popular, but I don't essentially like them, right? If you think about some of these famous people out there, they're famous. They're pretty popular. I see their face everywhere, but I might not like them. But where is it that we feel like if my popularity means that people like me, so therefore if I'm not popular, people don't like my picture, then no one likes me? Like, why is it that the youth are taking it that deep or from that mindset? Edwin, what do you think?
It could be that because a lot of people through social media, they have become famous, right? So a lot of people that they didn't come through the ranks of working hard to get to a certain level, but through social media they became very famous. So it could be that because of that, a lot of young people see him like, hey, this person, he's not like the regular person that through some organization became famous, so I can do it too. And they see all these followers and stuff like that, and like, I can do that too. So then, like a little story, let's say, following any famous person, Kim Kardashian, and people, and then another young person like, hey, I can dress like that, I can do this, so let me also create a page, I'll get a lot of followers, and then you see the followers building up, right? So it can be that because of that, then a young person can feel that, okay, I'm becoming famous. So that's the way to go. They feel like they're more out there, That's what I think could be the reason.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I can see that.
No, let me throw this another research that they did about likes and see what you guys think about it. The research shows that the more likes some people get, the better they feel about themselves. And the question is, what do people want to be liked? Like when they post something, and they'll be waiting, watching their phone, like over and over to see somebody has liked it or commented on it. Like, what do people really want to see, or their comment or whatever they posted, liked, waiting on? What do you all think? Okay, go ahead, Doctor.
So I was actually thinking about this on our way here. I was thinking about the whole concept of like and why people chase likes, or why people want to be liked. And I don't necessarily think that the concept of being liked is wrong, because we are creatures of affection, and we like to be loved because being liked make us feel good.
Yeah.
And just a little science background about that is that there's a type of there's a neurotransmitter in your brain called dopamine that when you are liked, that part of your brain, either the frontal cortex or like part of the deep part of your brain, this neurotransmitter will start to get released in excess, and then it's called the feel good neurotransmitter. So it will make you high, and you will have this euphoric kind of feeling. Now the thing is that once you are in this state of always chasing likes or always being in the notion of, hey, I want to be liked, that part of your brain will start to rewire a little bit, to the point that if you don't have that popularity or like, you kind of feel inferior. So it is important that we distinguish between that, that like being liked is not necessarily wrong, but if you use that as a channel to define your identity or to define your self-worth, then you run into trouble, because we all want to be known. We all want to be in a place where we are valued, but that doesn't necessarily translate to defining us as a person or other people.
That's
very
like good.
I also
Harriet.
have to say, well, from a girl's perspective, I would say that it takes us a long time just to even post the picture. Like, we have to do our makeup, do our hair. You have to get the right angle. So you don't want to be doing all that work and then you get like 50 likes. So it's just like time, like for us girls, it takes time for you to even, you have to go through like a lot of pictures to go look through to see, okay, which one, and then you get to choose like what, 2 or 3 pictures that you actually want to post. So I feel like that's why, for a girl's perspective, we want to get likes, because we put so much effort into
doing
pictures.
it. Harriet, between what Ober said and what you said, I have a follow-up question, because Ober, that was phenomenal that you broke it down for us, because as you were speaking, the way I saw it is, if we were to replace that term like, right, and look at it like how Ober broke it down, if you're not careful, it sounds like you can become addictive to it, right? You can almost use it wrongfully as a form of a drug, where that feeling and that energize, that feeling you get, you want it all the time. So then you become fixated on it. And so it becomes just like any drug can be, addictive in your life, and it can be harmful. But then to your point too, you're like, I've spent so much time getting this piece right, whether it's a wig or a sew-in, whatever you got going on in your hair, right? Or just your natural, beautiful hair. I got everything to fall right. And I put this picture, and only 5 people stopped their day to like my picture. Harriet, why is that important to us? Why do you think we care whether or not 5 or 100 people like something? What is it that you get from people, number one, seeing that and saying, yes, this picture is beautiful, so I like it?
See, that's what I have to think about to myself sometimes. It's just like, why do I care so much about what picture I'm posting? Like, oh, I see one little thing and I'm like, oh, that's not gonna look good on social media. So I think it's just something with girls that we have to just come to terms with ourselves, that everything, it's not that serious. Like, for you to, let's say you see something like your stomach, you're like, oh my gosh, it's too big, so let me not post it. I just think that it's just something that we have to come to terms with ourselves. But girls, we're naturally insecure. So it's like, we want to be liked. So
So you think it ties to your self-esteem in some way?
Yes, it ties to our, yes, exactly.
Okay, so that's why we want that perfect image. And I have a question for the floor, but Harriet and Obert, I want you guys to help me with this, because from what you're saying, it's almost like I'm going through all my pictures that I have. I'm making sure I'm the right shade, I have the right angle, nothing flowy is hanging out, like everything looks perfect. So it's almost like I'm staging for what people are gonna see. So with that, do you think that what some people depict on social media, do you think that's a true reflection of the lives they're living? Or are they just putting on a big show? Thumbs up or thumbs down there? Oh, but can you help me? And then I want to hear from you, Harriet.
Yes.
What do you think?
So My first go-to answer would be no, but there are cases where people showcase the realities of their life on social media. I follow some pastors on Instagram, and there are times where they would be extremely vulnerable by sharing things that they're going through. But to put things into perspective, I think what we see on social media are just glimpses of people's lives. So it's a piece of puzzle where people pick and choose which ones they choose to share. I don't think I've personally seen any post or like picture on Instagram about a person that would depict the natural state that they're in. People either Photoshop their pictures. People like tweak their pictures here and there just to please the eyes of their followers, or like just to please the people that they're following. So just to like quickly answer your question, no, what we see on social media is not necessarily what the life that people live.
Right, and that's such a great point, because people change, the followers or the people looking, or the people on the outside looking in, some people change their whole lives to mimic what they see on social media, right? They change who they are. They'll go get surgery. People do the strangest things because of maybe something they saw about somebody and they liked it, and it's like, I want my hair to look like that, I want to look like this, and they follow it. Why do you think it's so important for people to stage what we see, Harriet? Why is it so important for you to look or have that perfect, quote unquote, life on social media? Like, why does it matter?
I think just the social media culture has got everybody to depict their life that way, because everybody does that. Nobody wants to show that, oh, like, I've been depressed or anything. I feel like when people say that they have been depressed, like, they'll put it in a post where they've like gone through the depression, they've gotten out of there, like, oh yeah, I was like, a few weeks ago I was so depressed and stuff like that. But they won't tell you at that time. Maybe they'll tell you after they've gotten over it. So I feel like people just want to put on a show, like just put on a persona for other people. I don't know why, because I've heard of, like, for example, I've heard that people buy designer bags, like the shopping bags off of like eBay and stuff, just to go take pictures with them on Instagram.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, I've heard that people do that. I don't.
That is a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I understand. I guess I can understand to an extent, because people make their living off of social media. So it's like they have to do that all the time, because this is what the brands and stuff want from them. The brands don't want to see you depressed or like just living some type of other life that basically social media.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I just got a chat in from our sister Ellum in Maryland, so I want to throw her question out to the panelists for you guys, and then I want to come back to your question, your piece, Harriet. She said that its research shows that some of the tech moguls who invest in social media have banned their own children from it. They cite that they cite to the addictive nature of social media and the unhealthy way it affects our self-esteem and so forth. Do you guys think we should ban kids from using social media or have an age limit placed on it? What do you think, Ford?
So thanks for the question. So I guess before I talk about the question, I want to talk about the fact that to what we're talking about earlier, I think that subconsciously we all have a need to want to be validated. And I think that social media makes that really easy, in that somebody will like your post. And we're not talking about comments, but then people will comment and just say really nice things on your post. And I think when we see that, it kind of feeds that validation, that need for validation that we have, right? So then if we don't address that early, then it becomes a problem. So then that brings us to this question, because I think that for younger people, for younger kids, they don't necessarily have, like, if a kid is like 13, 14, 15,
right.
It's very unlikely that they've been able to mature to the point where they understand who they are and they're able to live up to who they're supposed to be. So then, unfortunately, they have role models that come from Facebook, that come from social media, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. And then, what tends to happen is that it becomes an issue. So talking about the question whether or not we need to ban our kids, I don't think so, but I think that there can be some control that needs to be in place. I think that if parents do think that they need to ban their kids from being on social media until they get to a certain age, that's up to the whatever the parent thinks is okay. But I think that there definitely needs to be some control, some management with it. I've heard of parents that, or I've heard of people that also are like that run social media. People that either don't allow their kids to bring their phones to the dining table,
right.
or the phones don't go in the bedroom,
right.
or other measures like that and other restrictions like that. So I think that needs to be managed, so yeah, that's what I think, because there also could be that you do need social media to do something that might actually be important and you may not know. So then I think because of that, it has to be managed and not necessarily completely banned. So that's what I think.
Okay.
That's really interesting. I have heard that a lot of social media CEOs, if you should say it like that, ban their kids from using it. That shows that they know the reasons for it. They know this can really destroy kids. It can build kids up to, it depends on how you use it, like how we are all talking about. But if they, the ones that creating it, ban and limit their kids, that's sending a message as well.
Right.
That is also a reason for parents to be really careful with how their kids, because right now in our generation, it's not easy to keep a child from social media, because you as a parent, you already have a whole lot that you're doing. You have work, family back home, all kinds of stuff. So sometimes if you're not careful, your mindset may not even be on your child. Just to leave your child and be like, hey, use this phone, leave me alone, I have stuff to do. and then you don't watch them, what they're doing. So it can be very, very a serious thing for the child. The child will start building importance and relevance from the outside instead of from the inside out. So then we see a lot of children grow up to be certain things that we're like, how come this child grew up to be like this? But we never checked how they were, how we managed them as a young child from the beginning. So it's a very serious issue.
That's a great point, and I want to switch, because our focus is to really talk to our great minds out there and hope that, if there's a youth or a young adult out there struggling with this topic, that they get a little bit of enlightenment. But, with looking at social media, I want to switch gears and go a little deeper for a second with how it steals from our lives, how it can destroy us. To something Harriet said earlier, nobody wants to post something depressing, right? I don't want to, nobody wants to post that I'm sad, which is the reality. Instead, they post, they mask the truth of what's going on. Like Oberg said, you see puzzles, right? It's like a puzzle. And because it's bits and pieces of their life, you don't know the whole story. So whatever puzzle you put together, you don't have all the pieces.
Yeah.
I was looking at the news and I heard a local story of a girl here in Concord, not even far, who posted a picture, nobody liked it, and she committed suicide. And, her mother found the note, and it broke my heart because her, everything on that picture determined who she was, for her to feel like, okay, that's it. So I really want to talk about that. Why is it, or how can we shine light for our youth and our young adults to understand is what you see, it's not always what it is. Like, how can we switch gears for them to really get the purpose of why and how you should use social media, so that we don't tie too much of ourself into it and we don't connect that self-esteem. Ford, what do you think about that?
So a thought comes to mind, and then I think I'll throw it out there. So there's a guy called Cal Newport. And Cal Newport is he's actually he's a computer science professor at Georgetown, I believe. And he grants a lot of interviews because he wrote a book called Digital Minimalism. And basically what we're talking about before, as far as like parents regulating how much social media their kids are exposed to. But then he pointed out that if we all remember when, so I think Facebook was one of the first like major social got invented. So that way, because before you just go check up on people, you post what you need to post if you need to, but there was no like button. And so then now that got created, and when that got created, now it became a way for people to stay on their phones more. And the more hours that you spend on the screen, that's making more money for whoever is a shareholder or whoever is running ads. So I think that we kind of need to go back to what the intent for social media was, as we read before, that more than anything, it was really just a way for us to be able to connect with people. I remember, like for me, like family members that I had lost contact with for years, I was able to reconnect back through social media.
That's fantastic.
And I think that is like, I think one way to help is just to really go back to, why do I have a social media? I don't think that, I think we should try to train ourselves that we wouldn't use that as a way to evaluate anything about ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, what anybody has is just simply opinions. Also, just to realize that sometimes if your post is not being liked, it's not because there's anything about the post, it's just that the algorithm isn't necessarily putting your post on the feed, on other people's feed, right? So then, because now it's like the priority is about ads. So now if you just scroll down on Instagram, you notice that after every 2 posts, there's an ad. If you scroll through your Instagram feed, just maybe you already noticed, but if not already, if you just scroll through, you realize that after every 2 or 3 posts, there's an ad. Even if you're going through stories, Instagram stories, after every two people's stories that you look at, there's an ad. So then there's a lot of programming that is going behind the scenes. So then it could be that unless somebody has their notifications turned on for your post specifically, it might actually just never show up on people's posts. And so then I think we should just keep that in mind, that behind all of the things that we might be looking for on social media, there's also a lot of stuff that we have no control over. And then there are other agendas that don't necessarily collide with what our expectations are. So then let's not take it like I think Harriet said that we shouldn't take it too seriously. And we really shouldn't take it too seriously. I think that we should be able to, whatever it is that we're looking for in social media, determine what that is and realize that we're not limited to the social platform to get whatever it is that we're looking for. So I just wanted to throw that in.
That is fantastic, and that's what we need for it. Thank you so much, because there could be some young adult or youth watching at home that post something, right? And nobody's touching it, nobody's liking it, and they're probably freaking out because, like what Harriet said, they took 20 hours to get the right picture. And it's like, nobody sees me, nobody likes me, I'm this, I'm that, and they start doing a lot of self-judgment. And again, it could be just a technical thing, or it could be something that you have no control over, right? So it's like really important for us to know that. That's phenomenal.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for it. But I think that sometimes it's also important to realize what happens in the home, because there are times that like kids go through trauma, and kids do not get that word of affirmation that they would need from their parents. So the only avenue that they have is to post this picture on social media in order for people to see that they exist. So I think it is important for all of us to keep in mind. I don't know if there's like any parents watching now, but it is important to show love and affection for your children at home, so that they do not seek for other, they do not use social media as a source of validation, from the things that they're lacking in their home.
That's fantastic, right? That's so true.
Going back to what Ford was saying about the algorithm, this morning I was talking to Pat about this movie that they're about to release. About you can see the trailer, and that there was
Is it a Social
developers.
Dilemma?
What?
Is it a Social Dilemma?
Yeah.
Oh, it's already out.
Is it already out?
It's on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
I watched
late.
it.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
already out.
I saw interested. Somebody sent it to me like last month, and I had a chance to look at it today. Do you believe it? I wasn't checking my social media. I was fasting on social media, so
Oh, wow.
I guess. And I look at it, and they were talking about how they purposely do that to make people addicted. Yeah, draw people to come back to their posts or be on spend so much time on social media and make them addictive. And they were talking about the health side effect of it, that people what they call it, mental health and other things. I'm like, wow. So the question is the follow-up question that I want to ask you guys: do you think we can blame everything on the person? Don't you think the developers also kind of have something to do with it?
Wait, what person? The person
Like
that's
the person
we
posting.
users. Do
Oh.
you think we can blame everything on
On the users.
The users. Don't think the developers also have something to
To blame
Do with it.
what exactly?
like they
Like the
did that.
impact
The
of it.
likes that for
Oh.
was just mentioned that they at the beginning wasn't there. Then they realized that you know what? I think when we use this, it will draw people more to So do you think we can blame everything on the user? Don't think the developers or the makers also have something to do with it? What do you think?
So I think that, going back to that. So I think that again, we must almost like develop our own protocol for being on social media. Like we have to determine what our purpose is because developers also have their purpose and they have their goals and they have the
Very
intent
true.
for
Right, right.
for they got plans for us, right? They're like, God is like, I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. Right? So going back to actually talking about the Social Dilemma.
It's social dilemma, yeah.
Not to spoil the movie for anybody, you should watch it. It's
It's
good.
very nice, yeah.
So there's a scene in there. There's a guy, and so let me just talk about this little scene. So then, I guess they kind of ran it like it's almost like there's a bunch of people standing behind the screen, and it's almost like they're trying to manipulate this individual. And you know the thing, like when you see a notification on your phone, the first thing you want to do is you want to check it out.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't stop there because you see a notification, you click on it, and then you go see something else.
something else.
Then you be like,
Yeah.
I'll go see something else. Especially like the Instagram highlight page. Oh, that's the worst thing because they've developed this so well that if you click on a highlight, so then maybe like I might see like Brandon might send me like a clip of somebody playing drums.
Okay.
And like anybody that plays drums or is into music, like that's all we do. So then you see one video, and then if you're on the highlight page and you see one, everything that follows is related to that. So then they're programmed in such a way that they only would give you content that aligns with your interest. So then they did that with this guy, and it was like one post because they kind of noticed based on his social media habits that he might have an interest in activism. So then they posted something about something that was happening in his area, and this dude that was coming to speak. So then he ended up watching like all these videos about this guy, stayed up all night, didn't do his homework. And then in the morning, his sister was like, yo, come on, let's go to school. And he didn't go. So he ended up, going to do something else because of
That.
what he had seen on his phone. So I think that just kind of in trying to bring it back home, I think that again, developers have a goal for social media. So we must also develop our own protocol for social media, and then if we need to be like, okay, I'm just gonna spend X amount of hours on social media every day, we need to do that. If we need to figure out, okay, I'm not gonna do this on my phone, or if I wake up in the morning, I'm not gonna get on my phone. We need to develop our own almost like protocol for what we're gonna use social media for, and I think that comes with some maturity. So then I would hope that if anybody if there's any young person that's watching that, we definitely try to do that. It's definitely really hard, and we're really oversaturated with content but we must be able to streamline the content that we expose ourselves to, because again, like Obed was saying early on, our dopamine itself is a risk, and we have a limited amount of it. We don't want to deplete it and then just run into the realm of addiction. So.
And that's
Wow.
fantastic.
They are indeed fulfilling
I
their
just had a
purpose,
chatter
right?
real quick
Go
that I
ahead.
want to
Oh,
share.
sorry,
Everyone.
sorry.
Go ahead with your
Okay.
contribution.
Before
Go
we
ahead.
move on, I found something interesting in the Bible that, God has likes too. God has likes.
You're right.
He likes on our pages. He likes on our profiles. He likes on our identity. And I have a verse for that. It was very, very good. So 2 Corinthians 1:21 to 22. I find this very interesting. It says, God affirms us, making us a sure thing in Christ, putting his yes, that is his like, putting his yes within us. So with God's likes, he's not putting it on our page, he's actually putting it
What
in
version
us.
is that? I have to read it.
Yeah, it's a very
That's deep. I like it.
yeah.
Wow.
And it says, by his spirit he has stamped us, that's his like, with his eternal pledge, a sure beginning of what he has destined to complete. So I was when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today, I was like, I think I've read that verse somewhere before, so I went looking. And it's actually very interesting that, you know how we say that every topic you can find something like that in the Bible. It's actually true. It's very, very true that as young people, we go chasing likes, social media, in people, our friends, but we never really think of how God also uses his own way to like us. That's what I wanted to say.
That's fantastic. When you said that, my mind went straight to that song, I'm a friend of God. That's so true, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't think about it, and we don't think about that love that he provides.
exactly.
Almost to like what Obed said, whatever the kids are not getting at home, they're not getting that, that love or that connection, but we forget to go to God, for him to complete us, right? Because he's the only one that can. Our sister, Efua Chompon, has a quick contribution that I want to share, aligned with what you were saying, Ford. She said, the developers are definitely to be blamed. She just went straight in for it, but she has another point though, because she said the developers are definitely to be blamed because before an app is created, they have psychologists and people from all fields at the table. The more people, the more people that are on their platforms, the more money they make. But she does have another point. She said, but you can't put all the blame on them because, frankly, they're not forcing you to go on their platforms. You are going on them yourselves, right? Like, that's what I want to understand. Like, why, if you don't have social media, what would that take away from your life? If you don't have a Facebook, you don't have an Instagram, you don't post something every 5 seconds or every day. Because I know some people post stuff like daily, right? Like daily watchers. I'm like, if you put that much time in investing, you'd be like daily traders and make like billions of dollars. But like, like daily posts. Like, what will happen to you if we were to shut your whole thing down or you did not have it? Would anything happen? Do you think that are people watching out there, there'll be somebody that's like, I can't function, I'm completely broken? What do you think, Harriet?
I think it depends on what your purpose of social media is for. If it's for business, then yes, if social media is shut down, your income is shut down. But for us that use it personally, I mean, the only thing I'll say that I'll lose from social media is like maybe friends that I don't have other contact with unless it's through social media, then I'll lose that from social media shutting down. But that's really
That's it. That's good though. That's good that you can say that, because some people are completely, attached to it, and it steals a lot from you. It steals a lot of your time. Like Ford said earlier, you click on one thing, which forces you to click on another thing. For me, frankly, Facebook was difficult because it's so busy. Like, I went on there one time in my life, and I was like, oh my God, I can't navigate. What is all this stuff popping in my life? And I just couldn't deal. So I was like, you know what? This is just not for me. I am not that tech, savvy person, so I can't deal with it.
But I have another.
Go ahead.
One other thing I will say is that it will be difficult though if social media is shut down because like something like this,
Right.
we're advertising this through social media. So
Right.
it's like for events and things like that, we need social media for those
yeah.
things.
Right. So, there's good ways.
technically, it's like we kind of need like where we are in society, we need social media.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny when you say that because my mind takes me back to when we didn't have it.
Yeah.
We had flip phones and there was no text messages. What did we do with
All you did
all
was
that?
just text it
Yeah,
out. I
high
guess
five
that's
and
what,
stuff
or
like
like
that.
flyers.
Yeah.
Flyers at businesses.
flyers.
and stuff
Yeah.
like
Just
that.
doing trees and
Church.
stuff.
Yeah. All we had
Very
was
true.
flyers.
So
Stay tuned on the
I
trees.
tried the hardest the other day to try to take my mind back, to the 90s and say, when we weren't texting, what were we doing? Can anybody remember? I still to this day cannot remember
Yeah.
what was happening
Doing hide
We're
and
playing
seek.
before
outside.
text messages.
Writing letters.
Writing
letters.
On
did we really?
handposts.
Calling
Yeah.
on the house
Writing
phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
calling on
You gotta
the
like
house
turn
phone.
Even with the house phone,
calling on the
Yeah,
house
that's
phone.
true.
even with the house phone, we had rules.
We had rules which allowed your mom to
Yeah.
answer, to know
Yeah.
who was calling,
Yeah.
allow you to come get the phone. You had to stand in the kitchen and talk to them
Yeah.
because it had a cord on it. Right? Like
Not-
the simple time.
Not on Christmas though.
Not
On Christmas, you'll be talking to people that you've never
Oh,
seen.
yeah, sure.
Like
Right,
this,
and
auntie.
we just had a comment too coming from our sister Justina on that. She said we were playing outside, being creative, writing letters to each other, really enjoying the simplicity of life. So
Yeah.
even though, like this, platform here that, thanks so much to our district pastor has given us the ability
Yeah.
to have this on a social media platform. You do have a faster way of changing lives and touching people and really delivering the word of God
Right.
on a speed dial, right? But it's also such a dangerous tool. It's a tool that's taken several people's lives. It's a tool that can even cause people to be misrepresented. Like how people see you, you can post something, they'll follow you for the rest of your life, but that's not really who you are.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely
Yeah.
something we have to be careful with.
Yeah, let me say this before we move to the next question. So what I've been doing that's been helpful to me is before I sign up for any social media platform, I have to define the reason why I want to go on. Like now, I don't have Instagram, what do you call it, account, because I've not come to a point like, why am I signing this for? Why do I want to be on? Until I put on myself, until I do that, I'm not going to do that. Like with Facebook, the reason I came on Facebook or I signed up for Facebook is to connect with my my friends that we left home and also those in Europe. And after that, like you don't even see me on Facebook. But I mean, it takes God's grace and also asking the Holy Spirit to help you to do that, like the goals that you set. Yeah. So hopefully it will help somebody. Do you have some? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna share real quick something that has been helping me with social media. The Bible does tell us that there's time for everything.
True.
There's time to do A or B. So me, what has helped me is that I go on social. When I go on social media, I moderate my time.
Sure.
So I try to limit the amount of hours that I spend on social media. I did make the mistake of downloading TikTok. And oh my God. Like I was on there like 4 hours just watching videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So explain that to us. Explain that to some of us that don't have TikTok. What is that?
So TikTok is a new social media platform, that helps people share videos. They share their talents, and they become famous on there. And I think the creators of TikTok are very smart. So they have algorithms in there that will kind of get you hooked up to it. So whatever, like Ford was saying earlier, whatever content you see, if you start scrolling, you see posts that are very similar to it. So like I was sharing earlier that one day I spent 4 hours on TikTok, and the reason being that there was a challenge. I can't remember the name of the challenge, but like people were dancing and it was like so I just kept like watching this challenge, and I kind of live on memes, so I like love memes. So I was like I kept scrolling, I kept laughing, and then at the end I checked the time on my phone, and I was like, oh my god, it's been 4 hours. So after that I deleted TikTok.
That must be painful, right?
I was
That's
like,
serious.
yeah.
Oh man,
I was like, no,
Yeah.
like this is not gonna
I
help me.
appreciate that you saw your limit, right? You saw like the enemy
That's
is
very
coming,
good,
that
that's
this
good.
is too much.
Yeah.
You know, and Ober, to add to that, I just got a contribution from somebody that said the same thing you said. He said from Nanedu in Atlanta, he says, what I do if I want to discipline myself from spending too much time on social media, especially if I'm fasting, or have an exam coming up, I delete the app entirely. He says he deletes the app entirely from my phone because once I don't see it on my phone, I don't use it at all. So is that the reason why you deleted TikTok, or did you foresee something else?
I deleted it because I knew that that it was gonna be a hindrance for
You
me.
don't have any control. You don't
Um,
have
A
any
distraction.
control,
Yeah,
Distraction.
sometimes I have self-control, but not all the time.
Right.
So, especially when
honest.
when a famous challenge comes on social media and you're dying to see
You're
it,
dying, yeah.
and you know, if you don't have that much self-control, it's like, why do you even have to have that one thing that's gonna keep you addicted in the first place? So it was very easy for me to delete it. I just tapped my iPhone for like a couple seconds. It started like
Shaking.
Yeah,
taking, and then I just hit the
start,
X
yeah,
button.
yeah.
But see, that's so funny. The process of you deleting it is so simple. But for some people, you would think like their life is over once that app goes off the X, right? Once
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
Like what ways, and I have this quick question, then Justice, I'll let you jump in. Like what ways can we let it go? How can we just release it? Like for me, I guess because, you know, people always make fun of my husband and I because we are not on any social media
Not on
platforms.
anything.
I think the only thing we have in our life is WhatsApp. And I don't even know if
Yeah.
that's official social media now.
WhatsApp.
But they're like, are you guys like running from the government or something? You guys have something to hide? I'm like, no, we're
That's
just
funny.
not. There is just not something that pulls me,
Interest.
right? I'm so,
Okay.
you know, I have other things going on. I'm so busy. Not to say that, you know, those who have it don't have things going on and are not busy as well. But like, how can we disconnect to the point that when you see it, because I see some of you when you go shopping, you're able to say, oh, this is too expensive. I don't want that. You can you can put guards in. Why is social media different? Why do you give in? Like, what is it? Is it a spiritual connection?
Develop
Let's
it.
talk about it. Yeah.
Develop
Justice
it.
Edwin, what do you think?
One thing, it depends on what value you put on it too. You know, if you put too much value into, you know, being on the site, any social media for a long time, that's what you cherish the most. And me personally, one thing I do is to check. I want to be able to study the Bible every day and not just certain times. So do you put value into your studies in the Bible? And sometimes, to be honest, when you just not read the Bible, you actually want to study it, by the time you realize you have spent a lot of time in the Bible. So I would say one advice is that because we're Christians, so we have to also add Bible, our faith into this as well. As believers, we should not just read the Bible; we should commit to studying it. That will take a lot of time in our daily lives, and it brings actual value to us as well. Because Jesus said, "The words I speak are spirit and life." The stuff we see on social media may not be that. So what do you put value on? Is it your faith? Are you studying to really know more about your faith, or stuff that you see on social media?
Yeah, because
Wow,
everything is a lot of discipline, right? It's like I do this time management thing at work with my team, and it's really planning your day from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. And you plan your day in that order and you have every hour, every second allocated for, then it makes it easier. But it is the dedication and devotion to stick to it. So if you say, the time I spend on social media, instead I'm going to focus on God, I'm going to read my Bible, I'm going to reflect on myself, I'm going to really listen to who God says I am and not what the media says I am. Sister Ellen from Maryland wants to share what she does. She says, social media is here to stay, guys. So we need to get used to it, right? She said, all you can do is try to regulate its use. One thing I did was turn off all my notifications from social media apps. It allows you to have some control on when you go on social media. You don't need to come on social media every second you get a notification. It can wait. Right, so really knowing, like, just because the notification comes does not mean. I have people that will hear Bing, no matter what hour it is, they'll get up and, like, look at it, right? And it's, there's times where somebody will send me a text message, and I'm looking at my phone, and my daughter is, like, talking to me, and I'm, like, just looking at text, but she's like, Mommy, look at me, Mommy, look at me. And I know at that time, I'm like, yep, let me put this away, because that means I'm distracted, right? Because she's telling me to look at her. So that's great.
That's really great contribution.
So,
you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead.
Please
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to add that. So something that the latest contributor said that stood out to me was social media is here to stay, and that's facts. Social media is here to stay, and I think that because of that, because the content that you're exposed to, you can absolutely control, right? So then you can control who you follow, you can control who you befriend, and so then I think that in addition to like all of the measures that we put in place to limit how much time we spend on social media, I think what we should also do is to also control what's in our feed, and that we have 100% control over, right? So then it's not everybody you follow, and also if you follow somebody and like they start posting stuff that's like that doesn't line up with your values, you can either unfollow them or you can just mute their posts, right? And I think I think we should be active about doing that, because we can talk about limiting how much time we spend on social media and such, but then we can be on social media and then be exposed to the wrong things, right? So then sort of like you're talking about justice, and then also what Obed was talking about, and like knowing exactly what you go on there for and knowing what you want, right? So then if your thing is memes and you just want to follow like this page that has memes, you go on there to kind of ease tension a little bit. You do that. If you want to follow people that post inspirational content, you do that. You follow such people, and if there's anybody you're following that is posting content that doesn't add value to you, you make sure that you unfollow or you mute, or you just mute the notification. If you don't want them to see, you can just mute the notifications. And feel free to block people, like, nobody can come and kill you because you block them, because some people need to be blocked. Yeah. So I think that, like, we shouldn't shy away from, I think we should be very, very intentional about controlling the content that we're exposed to. So that way, even though you're liking, we're talking about all the things to kind of help us not be as distracted by likes, but then also we need to control the things that are coming into our feed for us to even like in the first place. So I think that we should be very active about that, because again, social media is here to stay, and there are a number of benefits that we get from social media. So then we need to focus more on the benefits and then kind of be able to prune away the parts of the media that would be harmful to our psyche, to our soul, to our mental health and such and such.
Great contribution. Yeah, great contribution. Moving on to our question. I would like to pick your mind on this, Edwin. Do you think your social media defines who you are? Why or why not?
Oh, definitely not. It doesn't define who I am at all. Even with the good contents that I post, it still don't define who I am, because we have our personal lives, you know, and then like we have been saying, we post things that we want people to see. Nobody really posts their well, not maybe some people, but not a lot of people post their downsides and their failures and stuff like that. So stuff that I post. So lately, what I've done, what I try to do is post a little bit of, just a little bit of what I've been studying, so that, you know, I go back to it and then I read it back to myself and be like, okay, is this, if somebody read it, is it gonna encourage them, or how are they gonna think about it? So instead of posting maybe the picture that I feel like, oh, hey, I'm looking good today, I'll post a little bit of what I'm studying, what I'm studying at the moment or for the month. So definitely it does not depict my whole
I love that you said that, because some of the, you know, some of us, and I'm saying us, you know, as we're all young adults. I'm still with the youth side. You guys are the young adults.
Yeah, very young.
But you know, some of us youth and young adults, right? We will look at something. Maybe I admire you, Edwin, right? And I'm following you. I'm following your every move. And I will look at your social media and I will tell myself, this is Edwin, right? This is his life. This is what he does. This is what he believes in. And maybe if you tell me something, I will literally run and go do it. But then to hear the author, you know, the storyteller himself say that is not define me, I think is fantastic to throw out, so that as these young adults are following people or people they admire, people that will say jump and they jump, right? That you know that's not the truth, right? That's not all the truth. It's just like Ober said earlier, you know, small pieces of their life. Ford, do you think your social media defines who you are?
Well, I think my social media can tell a story about me that would not necessarily be inaccurate. I think my social media would tell the story that I'm super random. I just post like it's anything, super random. But then also, I mean, you could probably tell that I might be like kind of involved with church stuff, or that I, you know, like I like to talk about church stuff because, well, currently I'm in a little social media crisis because my phone has limited memory. So then I've had to delete some of my social media. But
and then, that's a crisis, right? Now.
Well, yeah, because I can still get on get on social media through my browser, right? So I kind of figure out a way around it.
You really want to be there.
I do, yeah. But then, yeah, so based on what I post, you could tell. Okay. But then if, I guess like from a programming, like I guess an individual can see, and then they might have an idea of who I might be, but they're not necessarily know who I am. But I think that the danger though is that, going back to, you know, talking about programming, so then going back to the Social Dilemma movie, they started off with almost like a sculpt, like just a bland sculpt of the person that they were trying to manipulate. So then they just kept monitoring his activity, social media activity. So I think that in as much as my social media posts may not define who I am, I think my social media activity might paint a picture of who this individual might be. And almost like my social media footprint, you could say, can kind of paint a picture of what my interests are and such and so. But as far as my posts, no.
And, you know, go ahead, Justice, before I read this comment that just came through.
So with our audience watching, as always, we would like to get you guys involved. So we are opening the phone line. So phone in your questions or contribution at 704-968-5531. 704-968-5531.
Fantastic. And as we're waiting for the lines to start jumping and moving, you know, I just got a comment posted. If you guys remember this very sad story that, you know, a lot of us in the Christian community is still kind of praying about and working through, the pastor that, you know, was, that we recently heard that had killed his wife, right? Very tragic.
Wow.
But if you look at the life he was living on Facebook, the life he was living on social media is completely opposite, right? And we're alluding here because we don't have any facts. We don't know him and we have no claims to that. But it appears to be completely opposite to what he was actually living. So people can really live two different lives, right? And gain a population of herd, like a herd of people following them and believing after them if we're not careful. So again, I feel like that's like the main thing ringing today, is to be really careful what you see out there and what you believe in, and not everything that glimmers is gold.
You have somebody online.
Great.
All right. Can you please mention your name and where you're calling from, and can proceed with your question or contribution?
Okay. My name is Mary Mami Joa. And
Go
I
ahead.
really love this topic today because I'm really a social media person.
Okay.
And I want to contribute on today's program. First of all, I want to shout out to Dr. Obed,
Dr.
Ford. Yeah, my friend.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Oh.
And
Go
like
ahead.
somebody already said, social media is here to stay.
Yep.
And so we have to use it in a positive way. In a positive way, meaning that we have to know the advantages of social media, the disadvantages of social media. And as Christians, one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. So if you're a Christian and you're on social media and you have self-control and you know the advantages and the disadvantages of social media, I think and I believe that you can use it in a positive way. And when it comes to social media, there are different types of social media users. Some people are on social media, follow every post and read every comment, but would not like your post or would not
Read comments or no like.
Right?
And yeah, so that's a type of social media user. And you have the farmers and the marketers, some people working for their companies, you know, and people publicizing their church activities like myself. I do that a lot. So you have to know what social media is about, what type of social media user you are, to know how to use it positively. And when it comes to the parents, I think that since social media is here to stay, they should have some kind of talk with their kids, like, you know, telling them the advantages and the disadvantages. Sometimes we think because they're young and they're so advanced, because of the times we're in, they know. But as a parent, it's also your duty to let them know that this is the advantage of social media. This is the disadvantage of social media. I personally, I want to share how I became so active on social media. The time I became active on social media, I was greatly depressed. I was so depressed at that time in my life that I had this insomnia that I could not sleep. I still have it, but it's better now. For like 1 week straight, I did not sleep.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do. And I had a social media account, a Facebook account that I wasn't very active on it. So I jumped on Facebook because when I can't sleep, I go on there. Then I started creating church pages like the COP Women's Ministry page, the New Jersey region page, and a couple of COP groups because I'm very involved in church stuff. And then started posting news like, you know, at that time I was the Women's Ministry Secretary. So I post programs that we have to do. I started connecting with my friends in Ghana. I started posting funny. When I get depressed and I get a funny video, I post it on there so we all laugh.
We see them.
Do you see them?
Building a community. I was building like some sort of people around me. And I didn't even know some of our pastors were on there at that time. And I was recognized as doing a lot for the church on social media, blah, blah, blah. So all I'm saying is that we have to know what social media is, how to use it positively. And at that time that I was depressed, well, I said instead of maybe crying on there for people to see that I'm depressed, I'd rather exert my energy on doing something to glorify God because I'm a Christian.
That's good.
You know, and so that's why I said that since we are Christians, we have to note the fact that we have to have self-control, and social media is here to stay. We have to know what it is. We can't blame the developers. They are doing their business.
Right, they're
But
doing
we
their
know
job.
what it is. We know the advantages and disadvantages, how to use it positively, and the kind of user that we are. So that's my
That is
contribution.
fantastic.
And shout out to Patty. God bless you all.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you,
for
Mary.
your
That
contribution. Yeah,
was
that
phenomenal.
very-
Like,
yeah,
I love the thing
was
that she
good.
said, where she said, I was so down that she went on there, and it's almost like she created a safe room, right? She created like a community of people that she felt safe and she felt home with, and I think that's where the connection comes in, where people feel like they can detach,
Yeah.
right, from social media. So I have some comments on here. I know the world thinks I'm old because I don't have social media. I had somebody literally ask me, can you tell us why, Patty, why you don't have social media? Honestly, it's just busy. It's just super busy for me. Like, I just can't focus. Maybe if I can get somebody to give me a tutorial, I might be able to make it. But it's too busy for me. But for, some people think you're doing a fundraiser here to try to get a new phone. So shout out
open
to
to it. I'm open to it.
He is open to it. And
take it,
one
yeah.
thing that I want to call out is one of the viewers, Great Minds watching at home, said, some of us old folks have social media so we can secretly stalk y'all
Oh,
and
yeah.
see what you're doing. I, for one, love that.
That's true.
I love that because if I had it, I'll probably do the same thing just to like watch and see who's doing what. That is so good.
Oh, before we move on to that,
Yeah.
talking about that, years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, it was something that happened, and I posted on Facebook, and I forgot that I had pastors on. and then some of them sent me inbox messages asking about. It wasn't even a picture. It was a comment that maybe somebody did something to me, and I posted it on Facebook.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
Also,
how I
you're
was upset.
sharing.
Yeah, I was upset
You're
at something.
reposting.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
posted. So,
Oh, wow.
so it's true.
gotta be
Some people
careful.
follow us because they want to.
And you know what? That's one
repost.
thing that you got to be careful is what you repost.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't read the whole thing. I've had that happen where I glance quickly at something on WhatsApp and I'm like, I like
Oh,
this.
yeah, that's happened
And then I
to
go
me.
back and read. I'm like, no, I don't.
Delete.
Yeah.
Delete.
Back and post.
Yeah.
Ford, let me ask you real quick, and as we're getting ready to wrap up, I don't want us to leave. The conversation always gets so hooked when we come close to the end. But I want to get this one question in. So, do you think you can go a whole 24 hours without your social media?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, actually, you can't. Wrong person to ask because he already told us. He already told us he's having phone issues, so he has been going 24 hours. He has been going 24 hours without his.
I'm gonna drop my cash app if anybody wants to. Yeah.
We will sponsor you. Great time. We will sponsor you. Don't worry. Harriet, can you go 24 hours without your social media?
I feel
Be
like
honest.
I mean, I'm gonna be okay. I haven't done it before, but if I had to, I can. Like,
Yeah.
let's say, so I'm working towards going to school. So, like, let's say I'm studying or something. I can leave my phone and cause that's what I do usually. If I'm studying, I try to tell myself, okay, put your phone away. I turn it over, put it somewhere so that I'm not looking at it, and then I'll give myself a time, like a break. I'll say 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So you
5
can go through your phone. Then once that 5 minutes up,
Hey, 5
put it
minutes is to
away.
go through the phone. What happened to going to play outside for 5 minutes? That was replaced.
Because I don't want to get. I mean, okay, 5 minutes break. Get food or
that's
something,
good.
but I think if I had to, I could go with 24 hours.
Okay. Oh, but how about you, Doc? Can you
Um,
go 24 hours?
Yeah, it's easy because of the self-control spirit that I've developed. There was actually a couple days during med school that I was off like all social media platforms. I think I had a test coming up, so
Oh, yeah.
I like stopped going on all social medias. And I think like Edwin was saying earlier, it just comes with maturity and your priorities, right? So I mean, why do you have it in the first place? So if you have that the spirit of self-control, I think it is easy. But for us adults, it's easier for us to say because we've been through hurdles and experiences in life that has shaped our goals and visions in life. So it is easy for us to let certain things go. But then for our younger brothers and sisters watching, it is very challenging. So.
But I love that you've given us tools throughout the whole day, different things that you do for those who are struggling to be able to do it. Ford, do you have a contribution?
So I was thinking about something earlier, and I was thinking about the fact that, you know, I think we talked about this briefly earlier on, that the dangers that we see people run into on social media don't start on social media. And I think we should definitely point that out. And this comment is really for parents, for church leaders and everybody, that we need to be intentional about teaching our kids, about teaching our youth, about identity and self-worth. And just, I think if we succeed at doing that, then people wouldn't go looking for all the wrong things on social media. So I think that we really have a lot of work to do at home and at church. And I think some of the issues that we're seeing also is exposing some of the things that we're lacking as far as like teachings go and as far as like discipline goes. So I think we need to do a lot of work at home as well, so that the symptoms don't play out on social media.
Awesome.
Is what I wanted to say.
In a way, that's very, very true. The verse that comes to mind is the verse that says, "Train up a child the way he should go, and when he's grown, he will not."
Yeah.
You can also take it in a way that train up your mind the way it should go, so that because we are constantly in the process of developing our minds. Have you had enough of God's word today? That's why I ask myself a lot of times. So if, like Ford is saying, it really comes down to the home, you know, like how we are training our kids at home, how we are presenting ourselves as well at home. Because if we are at home teaching our kids that you can't use social media, but then they see us all the time it defeats the purpose anyway.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to we ourselves, how we present ourselves and how we present that message to our kids as well.
Fantastic.
Just a quick question, and we will wrap up for today. I would like to hear your mind on this, Dr. Obed. Why do some Christians act as if God does not care about what they say online? Why do they feel the need to post whatever comes to mind? Yeah, what do you think?
First of all,
That's interesting.
That's a good question, and
that is a great question.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that social media does is that it has emboldened people, right? So you can hide behind the computer, or you can hide behind your phone and say whatever you want to say. Whereas if you were to like stand in front of a person, you wouldn't say that. So to go back to your question, I think it all has to do with the fact that how much of God do you want to expose?
Wow.
Right? So do you want people to see God through your post, or do you want to elevate yourself above God's word? So, you know, sometimes we forget that God is all knowing and that God is all present, right? And it is very sad that, you know, sometimes we would, you know, I was listening to a sermon yesterday, and the preacher was saying that some things that we would do in front of people, it would become like okay for us to do it in front of God because we don't see God. And you know, that kind of, you know, tells us a little bit about how much of the fear of God do we have in us. You know, there's a verse in Galatians where, you know, Paul says that, am I now at a point where I want to please men? Right? So I think it is important for us to always know who we are trying to please. Now, if we really want to please God, we're not going to go on social media and like post anything on there like that would be offensive to God's word, or that would be offensive to the identity and the vision that God has given us. So I think it is important for us to always go back to the basics, always go back to the foundation, and to realize that God has placed a seal on us, and everywhere that we go, we are to be that beacon of light for our Christ.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Great contribution. We would like to end on his contribution. And for our audience watching, as always, we have a challenge for you. So the challenge for this week is to assess how much you use social media. So we want you to ask yourself, every day you go on social media, are you using it to build your relationship with God, or just using it as a daily routine? So this week, throughout this week, we would like you to do that assessment. And when you go on social media, just use that time to evangelize, share a word, encouragement, inspiration to people instead of reading comments after comments and likes. Yeah. So yeah, we believe you will do that. God bless you.
Yes, thank you so much for joining in the discussion today. Thank you all, our great minds at home, for your contributions and questions. It was great. I'm glad you liked the show. And we still have people chatting, wanting to call in, but we are out of time today, guys. Teach will definitely be here next week for part 2 of Chasing Likes, focusing really deep on the impacts of social media. We'll be back in 2 weeks with that topic.
Generation, we've been called.
And let's reason together. See ya.
All I require for life, God has given me, and I know who I am. We are a chosen generation. We've been called for to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me, for I know who I am. I know who God says I am, what He says I am, where He says I'm at. I know who I am. I know who God says I am, what He says I am, where He says